Chapter 18, The basic trust between people are gone. Shen Yao stood up in that casual sling dress of hers, and she walked to the side of Ran Jing as she peeled an orange. We can't always be so passive, you know? As a woman, we have an advantage since birth, especially pretty women like us. We have enough men that hold us dear to their heart, why do we have to suck up to him? We must find a way to retaliate. Let's dig up some secret he's hiding, and we will see if he still dares to act all domineering and arrogant in the future. Don't dirty the floor, I just finished cleaning it up, Ran Jing replied nonchalantly. Shen Yao replied, I'm trying to help you find a way, why are you accepting your fate already? We need to show him some color and put him on the passive side. Ran Jing quietly sorted out the documents of the case she was working on and said, based on my years of experience in criminal investigation, Su Cheng's not a simple person. Shen Yao's eyelashes shivered slightly. What do you mean? Ran Jing took out Su Cheng's personal file from the drawer and placed it in front of Shen Yao. This is Su Cheng's file. Besides the 8 years he spent in the army, there wasn't anything outstanding about his record. Shen Yao glanced at Su Cheng's file and pouted, then why do you say he's not simple? When I arrived that day, I was even heading for the door waiting for him to ask me to stay, but he didn't do anything. At first, I thought he was just deliberately displaying no interest in pretty girls, so they would think he was something special, but I was wrong. He really didn't care. I was like you right now, furious. You must be angry why this man wasn't like the other men that were trying to court you and spoil you. Then, I tried bringing him to my station under the excuse of dining together and tried taking advantage of my suitor's jealousy to give him a hard time. I must say, this man is very skilled and also very calm. Su Cheng competed with the best officer at my station from marksmanship to combat, destroying him in everything he thought he was best at. I think after the encounter with Su Cheng, that colleague of mine began having an existential crisis. Shen Yao sneered. So, what if he's good at guns and hand-to-hand combat? My dad's bodyguards are good at those things too. If you are going to be out here making a living with those skills, isn't it expected that he masters those skills? Ran Jing, what's not simple about him is that he has no weakness. Shen Yao, what do you mean? Ran Jing, both you and I can be categorized as top-tier beauties, right? But in front of him, we have no advantage. There are so little men in this world that can remain unfazed in front of the temptation of beautiful women, the number is close to 0. Even if you meet one, it could also mean that the temptation was just not big enough. However, he can remain completely indifferent in front of both of us. This, plus his capabilities, makes me feel that he's not a simple guy. Character, temperament, and skills, I can't see through any of it on this guy. Just then, Su Cheng walked out from his room. Noticing these two women staring right at him like missiles locking onto a target, he was quite confused. He just ignored them and went to the fridge for a drink, ready to go exercise. When he went to the exercising area in another room, Ran Jing continued to speak, see. If it was some other men, they would desperately try to stay and chat with us, but Su Cheng just completely ignored us. Shen Yao said slowly after a brief pause to think, after hearing what you said, why do I feel like he's gay? Ran Jing was stunned momentarily, and she nodded, I feel the same way. Shen Yao then said confidently, that must be it. I've never met a man that doesn't show any interest in me, unless the man doesn't like women to begin with. Ran Jing, how about you go and test him out? Take off your clothes and walk a lap around him. Shen Yao elbowed her and snorted, you go. You can cosplay with your baton and uniform too. When Su Cheng came out again, he was covered in sweat. He had finished the drink from earlier and came to the fridge for another. As a soldier with high vigilance, he immediately felt 2 pairs of eyes lock onto him. Su Cheng chugged on the drink as he turned around, seeing the 2 women staring right at him as if they were trying to see through him. Then, those 2 uniformly moved their sight to his lower region, as they wondered if he was the one on top or bottom. Shen Yao was in her sling dress, really wanting to figure out whether Su Cheng was gay or not, and if he was completely immune to women. So, on the couch, Shen Yao subconsciously lifted up her dress slowly, and then, she pulled it all the way up to her waist, revealing everything underneath. Su Cheng, who was originally just casually taking a drink, suddenly almost choked and had a heart attack at the sight of this. Pesh! The soda directly came out from Su Cheng's mouth and nostrils as he coughed non-stop. Shen Yao immediately closed her legs and pulled down her dress, and she snorted as she went back to her room. When she passed by Su Cheng, the woman's eyes carried a cunning and disdainful look. After Su Cheng finally stopped coughing, he wiped off the soda by his mouth and asked Ranjing what was going on with Shen Yao. Ranjing already finished sorting through the documents and began heading to her room too. When she passed by Su Cheng, she glanced at Su Cheng's underwear region, and squeezed out one word, animal. What? Su Cheng was completely confused. Did those two hit their head somewhere? Su Cheng felt that the two women were both being weird. After he finally caught his breath and drank the rest of the soda, he subconsciously took out a look at his trouser region, awkwardly finding out that the tent in his fluffy sweatpants was pretty obvious. Su Cheng thought back onto that moment when Shen Yao lifted her dress and revealed her safety pants. He didn't even get to actually see anything, but he lost his defense to safety pants? It was indeed embarrassing. Su Cheng felt like he was completely played by Shen Yao. He shook his head helplessly and sighed. The basic trust between people is gone. That night, the lawyers of those 12 young masters discussed with the families and chose a representative to personally call the Public Security Bureau to ask. They decided to directly contact the city's police HQ, ignoring the local one they were causing trouble at. Shang City Bureau's deputy director picked up the call and then asked his secretary about it. The city-level bureau's deputy director, do you know about the 12 people currently being held in detention at the branch bureau of the Eastern City Sub-District? The secretary, yeah, the calls also came to me, and I went to inquire about it. I heard it was our director that allowed the branch bureau to deal with it themselves, which basically meant not letting them go. Oh. The deputy director frowned.